Hey everybody, it's Dina Rica with the Creativity Cave, and I have what can only be described as one happy card to share with you today. I love this card. It is so much fun, and it features some bright, happy colors and one sparkly deer. So let me show you how easy it is to put this together. First of all, I'm going to start with a half a sheet of thick Whisper White cardstock. I'm going to tell you that the best way to get a good crease out of that is actually to score it. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of scoring cards because when they don't line up, it drives me crazy. But on this thick cardstock, having that score line will really help give you a nice, good crease. And to kind of drive, well, this one folded pretty well. I was going to say to drive that point home, let me show you a card that doesn't have a good crease on it, but I don't have one handy, of course. But this worked out just fine. All right, having that crease though, or the score line in here gives you that good crease because you break down the fibers so that it'll fold really nicely. Sometimes when you fold it over, you kind of get some cracks and that's no fun. Okay, now that I've got this done, I'm going to set this aside. And I've cut myself a, let's see, I think this was a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock. And then I've also cut myself 7/8 of an inch by 3 5/8 strips of cardstock in, are you ready for this? Poppy Parade, Melon Mambo, Mango Melody, Granny Apple Green, Coastal Cabana, and Bermuda Bay. Boom. There you go. That was like a mic drop of color names, wasn't it? Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take and attach each of these just going down my strip of Whisper White cardstock. And the easiest way to do that is honestly to just take and put a couple strips of adhesive down, put a couple of, if you don't use some kind of tape, you can use some liquid glue and just start putting these, butting up one to the next in kind of rainbow order. Now, all of these are Bold Brights cardstock colors. So when I put the supplies listed both in this video and on my blog post, I did Brights cardstock because you can get all these colors in one packet, but then I listed each color just so you could see which colors I actually used. And if you have all the individual colors, then you know exactly which colors I used. So that's why they're both listed, just for full disclosure. Okay, so I'm just putting all of these on here. Now what I found was that so these are 7/8 strips, and I had a little bit of extra space on the end, and that was no big deal. Just hung over my cardstock a little bit, and that was no big deal, like I said. Now I'm going to take this whole thing, and then I'm going to adhere it to that card. And as a result, I'm actually going to put it right up to the top edge. Then I'm going to cut that excess off just so that I have a nice looking card. Let me do that quick. Okay, so this is going to be ever so slightly short of my 5 1/2 inches, but I think it looks better that way. So we've got a little bit of an edge on either side. Now I also took and die cut this deer. This is from the Dashing Deer bundle. And I'm going to use both the sentiment in here as well as the coordinating framelits. This is such a good stamp set. I love it. And I love the framelits that come with it. There's a whole bunch of awesome pieces. So you don't want to miss out on this. It's from the holiday catalog. Now I also borrowed one stamp from an old favorite set, which is called Swirly Bird. This is a fantastic stamp set. In fact, I even have an online class. This is one of the very first online classes I did. In fact, I think it was the first. And even to this day, I love that class. There are so many great projects, but I'm going to use this cute little outline swirl, and we're going to create a fun background on here. I loved these colors. And actually, I have to share with you the inspiration behind this card. Came from a card I made earlier this spring. That was this card. right here. This features a whisper white butterfly that was die cut with a set of framelits we used to have. We have a new butterfly that you could substitute if you don't have this older one. And then these colors are a little different because some of these colors were actually retired. For instance, Tempting Turquoise and Tangerine Tango were retired, so I substituted them for just a slightly different rainbow on this card. But that's where I got the idea, a card that I had made probably 6 months or so ago. All right, now I'm going to take my Versamark and I'm going to stamp this swirl from my swirly bird, and I'm just going to go across here kind of in a diagonal pattern, going down across all of these swirls. And this is such an easy way to get swirls across different colors by using Versamark, because this will show up on any ink. And then I also just completely did not follow my own advice, which was you should stamp your sentiment first, but that's okay. It'll work out just fine. I should have stamped my sentiment first. This time I'm going to use Bermuda Bay ink. This is going to show up just a little darker than that Versamark. And then because I forgot to stamp it first, it will also show up a little bit over that Versamark swirl just fine. And I mean, it's fine, but you can see on this one, I stamped it first, and then I didn't stamp my swirl over the top of it. But again, it's no big deal. It looks fine. Now to finish this card up, all that I need to do is pop up my die. So I'm going to take some of my mini dimensionals, and I'm going to pop this up. I use minis because they will fit really nicely up in these antlers, like so, as well as on the head. And, well, you know, I got to put like a couple on the butt. So there we go, and maybe one more in the middle. Okay. I can hear my children upstairs yelling something, and I think it has to do with Christmas, but I'm not positive. Oh, I thought he'd be coming down here, but I guess he's stomping off somewhere else. That's my son, Carl. Okay, now I have to tell you the inspiration for this also comes from one other spot, and my little piece got stuck in there. Let me see if I can poke it out. So when I think of advertising, I think of the store Target. That's a store we have in North America that I love. They kind of have a little bit of everything. It's a department store. And a lot of their advertising uses bright, vibrant colors with white. And so there's maybe a vibrant color in the background and then something white in the foreground. And I love that advertising. I'm positive they've had holiday advertising kind of in this spectrum of colors with the bright, happy, non-traditional Christmas colors. And I love that. So I hope you like this card too. Now you can see all the details for this with my blog post. There's a description, or the link is in the description of this video. I've also put the dimensions and for these pieces of cardstock in that description as well. And then if you go to my blog, you can also see the color or the supplies, as well as links to shop my online store. Now, if there's anything you need, I would so appreciate your business. I am so excited to offer you a fantastic membership into my VIP rewards program, and all those details can be found on my blog. Thank you so much for stamping with me today, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.